The mafia boss grabbed her wrist and asked one question that made the entire room go silent. Who touched you? 3 hours later, every criminal in the city knew she wasn't just some random maid cleaning his penthouse. This is the story of Emma Clark, a 24-year-old woman who took a job as a live-in maid for one of the most dangerous men in the city. She thought it would be simple. Clean, cook, stay invisible, get paid. But when someone from his rival gang left a bruise on her arm during a supply run, everything changed. What happened next wasn't just about revenge. It was about a secret that had been hiding in plain sight for months. Emma never wanted this life. 6 months ago, she was working 2 jobs just to pay for her mom's medical bills. Waitressing during the day, bartending at night. She was exhausted, broke, and desperate. That's when she saw the job posting. Live-in housekeeper needed. Room and board included. Salary negotiable. The address led her to a massive penthouse in the most expensive part of the city. The man who answered the door didn't look like someone who needed a maid. He looked like someone who owned half the city. His name was Dominic Russo. Everyone called him Dom. And everyone knew what he really did for a living. Emma should have walked away. But the salary he offered was triple what she was making. Enough to cover her mom's treatments and then some. So she took the job. And for the first 3 months, it was exactly what she expected. She cleaned. She cooked. She stayed out of his way. Dom wasn't what she thought he'd be. Sure, he was cold. He barely spoke to her except to give instructions. But he wasn't cruel. He never yelled. Never made her uncomfortable. He just existed in his world while she existed in hers. But Emma started noticing things. The way his men looked at her when they came by. Not with disrespect, but with confusion. Like they couldn't figure out why Dom would hire someone like her. She was plain. Quiet. Nothing special. And Dom didn't do anything without a reason. She also noticed how he'd leave money on the kitchen counter sometimes. More than her salary. When she'd try to return it, he'd just say, "Keep it," and walk away. Or how he'd ask if her mom was doing okay, even though Emma never told him about her mom. He just knew. Then there were the little things. How he'd make sure she ate dinner even when she said she wasn't hungry. How he'd have his driver take her to visit her mom at the hospital instead of making her take the bus. How he'd get genuinely angry if one of his guys was rude to her. Emma tried not to think about it. This was just a job. Dom was just her boss. Nothing more. But then came that Tuesday afternoon. The day everything fell apart. Emma had gone to the market to pick up groceries. It was a routine trip. She'd done it 100 times before. But this time, as she was loading bags into her car, 3 men approached her. She recognized one of them. Marco Vitelli. He worked for the Castellano family, Dom's biggest rivals. "You work for Russo, don't you?" Marco said, blocking her path. Emma's heart started racing. She tried to stay calm. "I'm just his housekeeper." Marco laughed. "Right. Just a housekeeper. That's why he bought you that car. That's why you're wearing a necklace that costs more than most people make in a year." Emma's hand went to her neck. The necklace. Dom had given it to her last month. He said it was a bonus. She didn't think anything of it. It was delicate, simple. She had no idea it was expensive. "I don't know what you're talking about," Emma said, trying to move past them. That's when Marco grabbed her arm. Hard. His fingers dug into her skin. "You tell Russo we're not afraid of him. You tell him the Castellanos are coming for what's ours." Emma yanked her arm free and got in her car. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely start the engine. When she got back to the penthouse, she went straight to her room. She changed into a long-sleeved shirt to cover the bruise forming on her arm. She didn't want Dom to see it. Didn't want him to worry. Didn't want to cause problems. But Dom noticed everything. That evening, Emma was in the kitchen preparing dinner when Dom walked in. He was on his phone, talking to someone about a shipment. He barely glanced at her. But then he stopped mid-sentence. "What happened to your arm?" His voice was different. Lower. Dangerous. Emma looked down. The sleeve had ridden up slightly, exposing the edge of the bruise. "Nothing. I just bumped into something." Dom ended his call without saying goodbye. He crossed the kitchen in 3 strides and gently took her arm, pushing the sleeve up. The bruise was dark purple, shaped exactly like fingerprints. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. "Who touched you?" Dom said. His voice was quiet. Too quiet. "It's not a big deal," Emma said quickly. "Just some guys at the market. They were probably drunk or something." "What guys?" Dom's jaw was clenched so tight she thought it might break. "I don't know. I didn't recognize them." "Don't lie to me, Emma." She froze. He never used her name. In 6 months, he'd called her Miss Clark or nothing at all. Never Emma. "One of them was Marco," she admitted. "Marco Vitelli." He wanted me to give you a message. Dom let go of her arm and pulled out his phone. He made a call. Get everyone to the house. Now. Then he hung up and looked at Emma. His expression was unreadable. Go to your room. Lock the door. Don't come out until I tell you. Dom, it's really not. Go. Now. Emma had never heard him use that tone with her. She went to her room and locked the door like he said. Through the walls, she could hear men arriving. Lots of them. Voices getting louder. Dom giving orders. She heard him say Marco's name. She heard him say the word example. And then she heard him say something that made her blood run cold. I don't care who you have to go through. Find every single person who was at that market. Find out who saw it happen and did nothing. And make sure everyone knows that touching her is the same as touching me. Emma sat on her bed, trying to process what she just heard. Touching her was the same as touching him? What did that mean? She was just his maid. Just an employee. Why would he care this much? Hours passed. The penthouse eventually went quiet. Around midnight, there was a soft knock on her door. Emma. It's me. Open up. She unlocked the door. Dom stood there, looking tired. There was blood on his knuckles. Is it over? She asked. It's handled. He stepped inside her room, which he'd never done before. Pack your things. You're not staying in this room anymore. What? Why? Because it's not safe. You're moving into the room next to mine. It has better security. Dom, I don't need. This isn't up for discussion. He ran a hand through his hair. I should have protected you better. This is my fault. How is this your fault? You weren't even there. Exactly. I wasn't there. He looked at her, and for the first time, she saw something in his eyes she'd never seen before. Fear. Do you know why I hired you, Emma? She shook her head. Because 6 months ago, your mom's hospital room was on the same floor as someone I was visiting. I saw you there, talking to the nurses, begging them to keep treating her even though you couldn't pay. You were kind to them even though they were giving you bad news. You didn't yell. Didn't demand. You just asked them to please not give up on her. He paused. I looked into you. Found out about your 2 jobs. Found out you were working yourself to death trying to save her. And I thought, here's someone who actually gives a damn about something other than themselves. Emma felt her throat tighten. So you hired me out of pity? No. I hired you because I needed someone real in my life. Everyone around me wants something. Money. Power. Protection. But you? You just wanted to take care of your mom. You didn't know who I was. Didn't care. And when you found out, you still stayed because you needed the money, not because you wanted to use me. He stepped closer. You became the one person in my life who wasn't afraid to tell me when I was being an idiot. Who left me notes reminding me to eat. Who laughed at my terrible jokes even though they weren't funny. You became someone I actually looked forward to seeing every day. Dom, I'm not good at this, he said. I'm not good at talking about feelings or whatever. But you need to understand something. You're not just my maid. You haven't been for a long time. And after tonight, everyone in the city is going to know that. Because I made sure of it. Emma's phone buzzed. Then again. And again. She looked at it. Text messages from numbers she didn't recognize. Photos. Videos. Her hands started shaking as she scrolled through them. The first photo showed Marco on his knees in an abandoned warehouse, his face beaten bloody. The second showed a message spray-painted on the wall behind him in red. She belongs to Russo. Spread the word. The videos were worse. They showed Dom's men dragging Marco and the others through the streets, making sure every security camera, every witness, every rival gang member saw what happened. The message was clear. Touch her, and this is what happens to you. Oh my God, Emma whispered. Dom, what did you do? What I should have done the day you started working for me. He took the phone from her hands and set it aside. I should have made it clear from the beginning that you were under my protection. That anyone who even looked at you wrong would answer to me. I didn't, and you got hurt because of it. That won't happen again. But now everyone thinks she couldn't even say it. Mine? Dom finished. Good. Let them think that. It's safer for you that way. Is it true? Emma asked quietly. Am I yours? Dom looked at her for a long moment. Do you want to be? Emma thought about the last 6 months. How Dom had slowly become more than just her boss. How she'd started making his coffee exactly the way he liked it without being asked. How she'd started staying up late when he had meetings, just to make sure he ate something before bed. How her heart would skip when he'd smile at her, which was rare but always genuine. I don't know how this works, she said. Your world. My world. They're so different. Then we make a new world, Dom said simply. One where you don't have to be afraid. Where your mom gets the best care money can buy. Where you can be yourself without worrying about who's watching. He reached out and gently touched her cheek. I can't promise you normal. I can't promise you safe all the time. But I can promise you that I will burn this entire city down before I let anyone hurt you again. Emma felt tears welling up in her eyes. Not from fear. Not from sadness. But from the realization that someone actually cared about her this much. Someone actually saw her as more than just a tired waitress or a desperate daughter or a convenient employee. The necklace, she said. You gave me that necklace because I wanted you to have something beautiful. Because you deserved it. Because I'm not good with words, so I thought maybe. He stopped. You really didn't know how much it cost? She shook her head. I just thought it was pretty. Dom laughed. Actually laughed. It was such a rare sound that Emma couldn't help but smile. Of course you did. He pulled her into a hug, and Emma realized this was the first time he'd ever really touched her beyond a handshake or an accidental brush of hands. I'm sorry tonight happened the way it did. I wanted to tell you how I felt differently. Maybe over dinner. Maybe somewhere normal people go on dates. We can still do that, Emma said against his chest. After tonight? Every restaurant in the city knows your face now. They know you're with me. There's no going back to normal. Then we figure out the new normal, Emma said. Together. The next morning, Emma woke up in the bedroom next to Dom's. It was 3 times the size of her old room, with a view of the entire city. There was a note on the nightstand. Your mom is being transferred to the best private hospital in the state. All expenses covered. Not as your employer. As someone who cares about you. Also, breakfast is ready. Don't let it get cold. D. Emma smiled and got dressed. When she walked into the kitchen, Dom was already there, reading something on his tablet. He looked up when she entered. Sleep okay? He asked. Better than I have in months. She poured herself coffee. So what happens now? Now you decide what you want to do. You can keep working as my housekeeper if you want. You can do something else. You can go back to school. Whatever you want, I'll make it happen. And what do you want? Emma asked. Dom set down his tablet. I want you to be happy. I want you to be safe. And I want you to stay in my life in whatever way you're comfortable with. Emma walked over to him and kissed him on the cheek. Then I guess you're stuck with me. Good. Dom pulled her into his lap. Because I already told all my guys that if anything happens to you, I'm holding them personally responsible. So you're probably the most protected person in the city right now. Is that supposed to be romantic? Emma laughed. I'm working on it. Give me time. Over the next few weeks, word spread through the city exactly like Dom intended. Emma wasn't just his maid. She was his. And that meant she was untouchable. Rival gangs went out of their way to avoid her. Shop owners gave her discounts without her asking. People on the street nodded respectfully when they saw her. At first, it felt weird. But then Emma realized something. For the first time in her life, she wasn't invisible. She wasn't just the tired girl working 2 jobs. She wasn't just the desperate daughter begging for help. She was someone who mattered. Someone who was valued. Someone who was loved. Her mom's health improved rapidly with the better care. Emma visited her every day, and Dom often came with her. Her mom liked him, which surprised Emma. He looks at you the way your father used to look at me, her mom said one day. Like you're the only person in the room who matters. Emma and Dom fell into a rhythm. She still cooked for him, but now they ate together. She still cleaned, but now Dom helped her. They'd watch movies on his ridiculously expensive couch. They'd argue about stupid things like whether pineapple belongs on pizza. They'd stay up late talking about everything and nothing. And when Emma had nightmares about that day at the market, Dom would be there, holding her, reminding her that she was safe. That he'd never let anyone hurt her again. 3 months after the incident, Emma was getting ready for bed when Dom knocked on her door. She was still in the room next to his, even though she spent most nights in his bed anyway. Come in, she called. Dom entered with something behind his back. So I've been thinking. That's dangerous, Emma teased. Smartass. He smiled. But seriously. I know we've been doing this thing where we're together but you still work for me, and it's weird. A little, Emma admitted. So I talked to my accountant. Set up a trust for your mom's medical care. It's funded for the rest of her life, no matter what happens. He pulled out an envelope from behind his back. And this is your official resignation letter. I already signed it. Emma opened the envelope. It was indeed a resignation letter, dated today. You're firing me? I'm promoting you. Dom got down on one knee, and Emma's heart stopped. To girlfriend. Officially. No more boss-employee weirdness. Just you and me, figuring this out together. Emma laughed and cried at the same time. You're so bad at this. I know. That's why I need you. To teach me how to be a normal person. You'll never be a normal person. True. But I can try. He stood up and pulled her close. So what do you say? Want to officially date the most dangerous man in the city? Only if you promise to keep making me breakfast, Emma said. Deal. They kissed, and Emma thought about how her life had completely changed in less than a year. She went from being invisible to being the most protected person in the city. From having nothing to having everything. From being alone to being loved by someone who would literally go to war for her. And it all started because she took a job as a maid for a mafia boss who turned out to be so much more than she ever expected. 6 months later, Emma was finishing her degree in nursing. Dom had encouraged her to go back to school, said she was too smart to just cook and clean. She protested at first, said she was happy where she was. But he insisted. And now she was actually excited about having a career. Her mom was thriving. The new hospital and treatment plan worked wonders. She was even talking about maybe moving into a small apartment near Emma and Dom once she was strong enough. And Emma? Emma was happy. Genuinely happy. She woke up every morning next to someone who loved her. Who supported her. Who made her feel like she was worth something. Sure, Dom's world was complicated. There were still threats. Still danger. Still nights when he came home with blood on his hands. But Emma learned to accept that part of him. Because for every dark moment, there were 100 good ones. Moments where he'd surprise her with flowers. Where he'd cancel meetings just to spend time with her. Where he'd hold her hand in public, not caring who saw. The city knew who she was now. They knew she belonged to Dominic Russo. And while that came with certain expectations and dangers, it also came with a sense of security Emma had never known. One night, as they lay in bed, Dom asked her if she ever regretted taking the job. Not even for a second, Emma said. You changed my life. You changed mine first, Dom replied. You made me remember what it's like to care about something other than power and money. You made me want to be better. Are you going soft on me, Russo? Emma teased. Only for you. He kissed her forehead. Only ever for you. And in that moment, Emma realized something. This wasn't just a story about a mafia boss protecting his maid. This was a story about two people who found each other when they needed it most. Who saw past the labels and the expectations and the danger to find something real. Emma Clark wasn't just a maid anymore. She was loved. She was valued. She was home. And Dominic Russo wasn't just a dangerous mafia boss anymore. He was someone who would drop everything for the woman he loved. Someone who proved that even in the darkest worlds, there's room for light. All because she answered a job posting. All because he took a chance on someone real. All because sometimes, the most unexpected connections become the most important ones. Call to action, 8 seconds. If you want to hear more stories like this, hit that subscribe button.